when I was 8, I told my mom that I like dancing. But my mom told me, no, you have to put all of your time onto your study. Otherwise, you can't get a life. And I have a sister. I saw her become really nervous when she turns to 28. Because all of our family members wants her to get a marriage before her 28. But she didn't find a guy yet. So she's really crazy. But for me, I kind of can't understand why she's so obsessed with others' expectation in his head. So for me, it's like, no, I don't buy for it. I came to Munich this October for my study. But then I realized the idea of others is still in my head also. Like, I'm not used to kiss in public places. Because I feel like others are looking at me. But if you do this, well, others might think you're a really boring girl. Okay? And also my English is not perfect, obviously. So sometimes I can't understand others' accent, especially at the first months. But you know what? If you can't do this, just imagine I'm at a pub and two people sit next to me. So they talk freely with each other in English. But I have to ask, sorry, what do you mean every time? This is really annoying. So later, I gradually admit that, okay, I'm boring and I'm shy, so I don't want to speak in public places. I will just sit there and pretend I'm really enjoyable, but actually I can't understand anything. So that is my life in the first 2 months, I guess. But later I changed, because luckily I have a really nice classmates in university. And in university we have to do presentation, to do group work together. So in this situation, I have to ask, sorry, what do you mean? Because I need to present in the class. So this situation forced me to say, sorry, what do you mean every time? And then I survived because I realized no one blamed for my poor English. Even if I ask, sorry, what do you mean every time, they still like me. So they give me courage, and this really helps me. I kind of think, okay, even if I think I'm boring, but they don't think I'm boring, they still have interest towards me. So I gradually opened myself in front of them. And even if I made some mistakes sometimes, they still like me. So after 1 month, I told myself, yeah, maybe it's time for you to open yourself to other person. Not only to your classmates, but also to others. And I truly did it. And sometimes I just told people that, okay, you can't talk to me about economy and politics because I have no idea. Okay, I used all of my time onto my study while I was in China, and you can't expect me to know all of these things after 3 months I come to Munich, even at my first date. And you know what the result? My result is those people who like you as a person will still like you, even if they know you have some mistakes, you have some disadvantages. And well, this is my conclusion, because that's how it works. Every people have their disadvantages. So you don't need to be shy about your own problems. And I'm not shy about this. And last but not least, I just mentioned that my classmates are really nice. And some of them are here today because they know I will give a 5-minute talk. They are really nice. Okay, I have to stop all of you because I have other things to talk. So that's my story. I survived, obviously. But what about others less outgoing Chinese students? Because when I was in China, I'm really, really outgoing. But I even have problems when I come here. So what about others? There's one phenomenon that's, okay, you can say so many Chinese students, they only hang out with other Chinese students. And they are really crazy about their study. Well, that's true. I won't say that is stereotype because it's quite common. But what I want to say is, you can't regard them as they are shy and they are crazy about studying in nature. Well, maybe some are, but I also think some is because they are, the cultural gap between China and here is so huge. So it's too hard for them to adjust themselves to being the way that foreign people work, or being funny and in front of others. So yeah, I think that's a reason, just like me, just like what I experienced in the first 2 months. But if you give them a comfortable environment for them to open themselves, to express themselves, then you can also say an interesting person in front of you. So, when I come here, I just feel like there's difference between how Chinese people behave ourselves and how foreign people read us. So that's why I want to stand here and tell you that our stories, because I feel like we are different from the way foreign people behave, and sometimes they have the misunderstanding about us. So after my today's speech, if you are at the beginning of understanding Chinese students, or even you are willing to provide them a comfortable environment for them to open themselves, then that is my original aim of my today's 5-minute talk. Thank you.
I like to say that your English is for sure not bad.
Thank you.
That's the first. I don't know why you could assume that, but also I would like to ask you, what do you think makes a person be boring? Because I have thought such thing about myself too, eventually. But I would like you to describe, why would you think that you're boring? What were you doing that you thought you're boring?
Yeah, I think it's absurd. I think it depends on the way I define boring. Because I used to think, okay, if you go to a party and you have nothing to talk, it's like you are not an interesting person. So, and for me, the opposite of interesting is boring. And also it's because I don't have any hobby. I'm not afraid of your judgment, but it's true, I don't have a hobby. Yeah, just imagine, I was a bureaucrat from China, and in the past 24 years, I invest all of my time onto my studies. Because otherwise I can't get a life. That's true. I don't have the opportunity to go to university if I don't push myself that hard. So I don't have a hobby, and my English is not good. I can't communicate with them. This is my life about the first 2 months. And that's why I think it's boring. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I'm talking too much obviously, but I still want to say this. When I started, doing my own thing, it was the idea of, I didn't have a sense and a meaning of life, but then I defined it like this, that once I'm once it's at the end and I look back, I don't want to regret anything. And I think this is sometimes the thing, that you want to lead another life, but you think you're boring. So think, like, when you look back, do you want to regret not doing things or not having done things? So this is maybe how you get out now.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. And
Do you still consider yourself boring?
no, not at all.
No, then what changed then?
Huh?
What changed then?
Yeah, I think the change happens on me is I become more open, and yeah, I show my true myself. I didn't do this even if I was in China, but I do it here. For example, now if I'm happy, I will sing. If I want to dance, I will dance. But in China, no. You will see others' judgment. You have to do the same thing at the same situation. Yeah. And yeah. Sorry.
So I'm asking this question because I come from India, and the pressure to perfectly speak English is a lot.
Yeah.
So when I was new to Germany, in the first month, I actually had a fake accent. I really spoke like this all the time. So, so I just want to ask this question. Is it the same situation also in China, where if you don't speak good English, you're not educated enough, or is the pressure to know good English high in China?
No.
And is this the reason also?
No, I do heard that in India, some courses is taught by English.
All the courses.
China, every course is taught by Chinese, even in English courses. So in China, it's like, okay, at first we read words, like blah, 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 and then, okay, we read passage, okay, and then everything is explained by Chinese. Even in grammar, those kind of things. So we don't have this pressure in China. So in China, my English is like perfect. But when I come here,
It's so nice.
And I say you research and
Actually, I just want to add something more. 2 months ago, I came from Shanghai, China. I worked in Shanghai for 7 months. I really like Chinese people. They are really different in positive way. They are really different. I mean, after dinner they go to park to dance with each other. I'm not kidding. It's the reality.
I know you're
and they didn't know me. I don't know them, and they helped me to dance. And Also, I know the Chinese history and I really have big respect to Chinese people. I think the problem is that the rest of the world have to discover China.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and yeah.
I had a question based on one of the things you said where you were looking at the differences between China and the Western world. Have you, for example, thought about looking what's in common between, for example, China and Germany and working your way through that? Because maybe it would make it even easier because we're humans at the end of the day and there is something in common between us all, regardless of what passport you own.
No, I'm sorry. I have to be honest to think about this. We can talk later, but I don't know the answer now. Sorry. Do someone still have questions? I hope it's not really difficult.
What is your hobby right now?
Now?
The one you adore the most?
Now I would say I like dancing and taking pictures. I still like dancing and also taking pictures.
So you have an Instagram account? So you have an Instagram account?
Yeah, I have. You can follow me later.
So